Harry and Meghan, they're at it again. Another faux royal tour. Really, we've had quite enough. Filling the vacuum that has been left by the royal family, the couple have emerged in the cocaine capital of the world, which, by Harry's own admission, he was previously many years ago partial. Colombia is one of the most dangerous places in the world and ranks somewhat higher than the UK on all forms of violent crime. Yet, despite his fears for his family's safety in the UK, Harry and Meghan look comfortable and very relaxed in Colombia. Could security simply be an excuse as a way of holding his family hostage for not getting what he wants? Pretty spoilt, methinks. Earlier in the week, Harry had a side swipe at Elon Musk. He said what happens online ends up on the streets. Hardly. It's pretty rare that happens. Most people online are keyboard warriors and make their threats from behind a keyboard. But if he's that concerned about it, he might want to have a word with the Sussex squad who carry out their online abuse using the Sussex name. No, nothing from the pair on that, about that. Look, I'm happy that they seem happy, but they've stepped away from royal duties, so why are they using their titles once again and preaching from afar, grabbing onto any headline stories to stay relevant? Nothing is off limits. You can't spout compassion and goodwill until the cows come home, but yet continue to show a huge lack of it towards your own family. Whilst there may be some who can ignore this, I can't. Actions speak louder than words. It's time for our second great British debate this hour. I'm asking, should Prince Harry be given royal protection, the special royal protection? He and Meghan, with their security detail, they're using bulletproof briefcases to protect them from potential shooters during their 4-day trip in Colombia. That doesn't sound overtly safe, frankly. But at least they've taken part in an art session and planted trees during a visit to a school in the capital, Bogota. I suppose, how did they get there? Private jet? On a Bombardier, probably the most polluting aircraft to mankind. But do extreme security measures create more panic? So for the Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, what do you think? Should they be given royal protection? Joining me now, political commentator Lee Harris and former Labour Defence Minister Ivor Captain. I know this will be a subject close to your heart.
It is close to my heart. Actually, just to... When William and Harry were at a college... I was the minister responsible for them whilst I was at the Ministry of Defence.
Really?
And so on one occasion, and this is a great occasion actually, I get a phone call from a well-known newspaper, shall we say, let's call it something like The Sun, and what happened is they wanted to know why we hadn't put stuff around the whole of the college so that the two of them could be protected.
No.
And I said, are you really going to publish this? I challenged them to publish it, and they never did.
Oh, they never did?
They never did. But that's an absolute truth.
Wow.
And it happened all those years ago, so it doesn't really matter. But it was a moment of just understanding that you don't have to do that just because it's the royal family. You want them to have as much of a normal time in college as you can get. And what happens now, I think they'll be perfectly safe in Colombia.
Well, of course they will, yeah.
You know, there's no doubt about that. And we've used proper circumstances over the years for making sure everyone is safe.
So does Prince Harry have a point? Should he get this RAVIC protection, which is only meant for working royals? I mean, you know, if you step back, you have to acknowledge that is part of the deal. Surely part of the things that he's done himself have made him a target. Nobody's revealed a kill count. Nobody told him to do that. Nobody told him to talk about these things.
No. I think that... I don't think Harry is under any sort of pressures in the context. I think that, you know, the royal family is the royal family, and we want to make sure the royal family are safe and sound whenever they're doing things. I personally would like to see Harry and Meghan come back and be part of, you know, King Charles's, you know, dealing with all the issues that are there. There are lots and lots of times when people want the royal family to do something and we don't have the actual capability to do it all. So that would be another pair of hands on deck that would be very good, and I think that would be a good thing for Harry and Meghan to do.
Well, they're worried about their security. That's why they've gone to America, where people have the right to bear arms. Lee Harris.
Yeah. I think he's a whinging, conniving hypocrite, Nana.
He would argue that he is not whingy or conniving. A hypocrite may be.
Well, look, I do have sympathy for obviously what happened to his mum and his experience with the press. I think all of us, anyone with a conscience, can understand that. But what I can't get, I mean, it was only a couple of weeks ago I was on this show and we were discussing the same thing, and I suggested that by him saying that he wasn't going to bring his grandchildren over to see King Charles, that was some form of emotional blackmail, which I do believe, that's just my opinion, and I believe that's what happened. And I feel like my opinion has been kind of vindicated by the fact that he's in Colombia and he was able to pay for, I'm assuming he's paying for his own security.
I don't know who's
while he's
paying
out
for it.
there.
We don't know the
It's
detail.
an assumption. I'm sure King Charles isn't paying for it.
He may not have paid for it. They may have, because I think he was invited, so they would have pulled out all the stock.
It would be the government of Colombia who are dealing with this matter.
But he's
that's
prepared
for them to do.
to go to Colombia, and yet he won't come to this country because he feels that it's he needs the security. And let's not forget, it was his decision. He knew exactly what he was getting into. He knew what would happen if he stepped away from royal duties. This was something that wasn't a surprise. So him sort of coming back and was it a court case that he tried to take?
Yes, he tried to sue home.
He lost.
But dude,
He lost.
exactly, and understandably so, because he literally he knew what that decision would result in, and so I find the whole thing completely ludicrous and hypocritical.